We're live. Hi, everyone. And
hello, everyone, too.
Welcome to Craig and Jane again. And I see we've got quite a few of you already here with some of your comments and things already. And we're going to do a general questions and answers today. We're going to try to keep it just kind of everything.
Well, spiritual, psychic, what you're interested in, auras, premonitions, telepathic connections, healing, everything.
So it's all things spiritual. And so if you've got anything you want to ask us today, put your questions in there. I don't mind if you're asking a question. I don't mind you putting it in caps if you're on the live feed, because it does show up sometimes. Obviously, try to keep them quite short, because we will read the ones that are more easy for us to spot, because once these things get going, we do get a lot of people joining us all at once, don't we? So
also, don't forget to like and share.
Yeah, in fact, like and share this. In fact, that just before we start, actually, because I know a lot of you are following us and we've got a few fans out there nowadays. It'd be fantastic if you could share these videos, not just this one, but generally share them a lot. Share them on Facebook and things, because I think we've got quite an important message, particularly some of the things that we've got coming out of India. And next week, well, not next week, in a few days, I hope, I'm going to reveal some more things from the Nardi oracles about the revelations that have come through about the coronavirus, and it's quite good news. But I'm going to save that for the other one. Sorry,
I thought you were going to do the virus.
Not on here, no. But I mean, we're going to do that. I'm going to release another video on that, and coming up also, probably tomorrow, I'm going to do a live meditation for some of those that want to learn about meditation, and in particular the type of meditation that I used to do in spiritualism, in circles. So what you got to say too, Jane?
Well, we've got lots of people coming in from France, New York, all around the world. And I expect some of you might be pretty, if you like, stir-fried, crazy. But it's good that we can all communicate through technology. And we're trying to get on here as much as we can and try and answer your questions. So I'm just going to put my glasses on, Sharif, and I'll let Craig talk.
Yeah, well, there's a nice one there that I can pick them up, actually. How does your teacher view this Sharavana Baba fella? Is there a new energy on the horizon? Well, yes, not just him, but many of the spiritual teachers
sages,
kind of beginning to feel this. Definitely it's something Jane and I have been saying. You know, I looked at the Nardis, and we had 4 or 5 different Nardis I've managed to access about this and what's going to happen. And all of them are saying the same as what we say, is that there's going to be a spiritual awakening from this. Jane and I kind of get our information psychically. I suppose we access what you'd call the Akashic record.
Well, I don't.
Well,
you might.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, you pick it up. If you're going to pick something up, it comes. Well, it can come from your spirit guides, or it can come from
your own intuition.
Your intuition, but your intuition's connecting to what I call the Akashic record. But that's just words. Yeah. So there's some interesting things coming up, and I certainly feel there is. What would you say Saravana's attitude to it was? Did he say anything to you?
Well, don't have fear while we're here. I mean, if we start getting fearful, it's creating negative energy. And I really do believe this is a cleansing of the earth, what's happening at the moment. And people are not taking this serious out there. They're still not isolating themselves. They're still walking everywhere, going in the woods, as if, oh, the sun's out, we're going to enjoy it. And I think this is very much a testing time for everybody, that we all pull together. Psychically, I do feel there's new beginnings in the world. I don't believe it's the end of the world. I never had. But I do believe in the future to come, we will go back to the Ice Age, but it won't be in our time or our children's time or grandchildren's time. And that's what I've been shown a picture of.
Yeah. And also, just going back to the original question, actually, because the person asked particularly about Sharavana Baba.
Oh, yeah,
that's where I went recently to India and spent an amazing time there. A beautiful ashram, very comfortable. Well, hard bed, actually. I hardly slept on the bed. It was so, but certainly compared to most Indian ashrams, it was extremely clean. And you'll see some of the videos up there that I posted about it. And he gave some fantastic talks. A lot of them were in Tamil, but often, or not Tamil, Mali, which is the local language in Kerala. Not pronounced that right, as usual. And he spoke, my theme for the book that I'm writing about him, and also about what's happening now, is called Be Happy. And the theme was always be happy. No matter how tough things get. Why do we have to be miserable? Our actual nature that is beyond all this form, beyond all this worry and trouble and troubles of the world, and there'll always be trouble in the world, is happiness itself. That's what we are. Bliss. Do you still think Trump will be elected again in November? Whether it's November or not, I don't know, but I think he will definitely get a second term.
Depends on his actions, doesn't it? What's happening?
Will we have full disclosures about aliens this year? Someone asked.
Have you got some inside information that we haven't then? I believe there is other life force, and I believe we do have other life force that exists beyond our comprehension. Definitely.
Yeah, the nardis do actually. One of the nardis, not one that I've accessed, but one I've had reference to, that does say that an alien artifacts will be found in Europe. But that's something that's going to come up. It gave the date. I'll outline those things properly in a proper video sometime for you. And where and when that might be is also in there.
Coming up too quick.
It's quite hard to read. That's why I say occasionally, I don't mind questions as long as the questions are simple. You can put it in all caps. I know that's shouting, but it does catch our eye a bit more because it's sometimes harder to read the more detail.
I'm laughing at this one. Got any predictions for Ireland? Well, you're all done, aren't you, really? Because all the bars are closed.
Yeah. It's hard in Ireland. It must be particularly tough for you guys out there at the moment.
Oh, well, they've still got the good Irish spirit.
In fact, Jane was supposed to be there today, weren't you? Because you'd have been there if the flight had taken off. Yeah, we were supposed to go, Ireland, and that got cancelled. So Jane had been over there with our Irish friend in Skerries, which is a great part of Ireland. Yeah, and some fantastic people there. And we will be
in the future when all this is clear to actually demonstrate there in Skerries in the theatre.
And there's a nice one. Listening to the birds in the morning, it gives an uplifting feeling and sense of hope.
Beautiful.
Yeah, in fact, we were saying that today, weren't we?
Well, when we were having lunch in the garden today, we actually was watching a blue tick go in and out of our house, and how wonderful it was seeing how the birds are working so hard. It brings it back to you, doesn't it?
And it seems like we've given nature a little bit of a break for a short period of time, doesn't it? The water in Venice, apparently, in the canals has become clear. Fish are coming back. This is in such a short time.
Just goes to show, doesn't it?
I think what this whole virus thing has been a wake-up call for all of us, isn't it? It's like, we've been grounded, spiritually we've been grounded because we've been doing everything wrong. And I think nature itself is part of this whole process too.
I always think Mother Earth, first of all, we've had floods, that's her tears. Then we've had fires in America, that's anger. And now we've got a virus. I wouldn't say it's payback time, but it's making us more sociable, more aware to help each other and that. But this will pass. It will pass.
Is a question there, do you feel that astral travel to ashrams on a higher level can happen? I think that's I couldn't quite catch the question. It's just gone off the screen.
Well, it means coming out of your body and actually traveling. I believe you can.
Yeah, and I think you can meet holy people on the astral level as such too, because I've had dreams of a number of holy people.
Sai Baba.
Yeah, in particular Sai Baba. And by the way, I've got some special tea for my cough that one of our friends has sent. Thank you to Yin out there, who's a Chinese herbalist, and has given me this to drink over the period of time.
That's lovely.
It's very nice of you. So,
lovely person.
So thank you, Yin. I might put a link in the bottom if she's got a website later on.
Yes, there's many masters.
You can meet people on a spiritual level. Yeah.
Many masters, not just the Dalai Lama, Sharavana, Sataguru, many masters, many rishis here on earth are trying to help all of you at the moment, including Craig and myself. So stay tuned into this. We will do our best for you and try and reassure you this will all pass.
You will. And also, In my nardis as well, because I keep on and on about this. Well,
Never stops.
I do, and Jane gets sick and tired of me talking about it because it's so.
Not just about the nardy,
and tea, and when
and
that's
food,
ready,
and food.
But when we I'm very into this because the nardis have said that they will work through me. The siddhas will work through me, and that's where I get some of my intuition intuitively. So. What this is from answering the question earlier, really, it connects on an astral plane. And I think that's what Jane and I do sometimes. We connect with all sorts of people.
And I know the Indian people call me Divine Mother Armor.
Will we depend on China less to make our products? Well, that's a good one, actually, because looking at the aftermath of all this, again, I'm going to do a full video on this later, but there is going to be some public unrest. But following that, there also, it wasn't said in the Nardi, but I do feel that there's going to be a move to become more self-sufficient again. A move that we can make. Each country can at least produce the basics: medical equipment, military equipment, which was bound to be on it, farming equipment, food, and in fact. It's the whole big deal nowadays is about globalization. And my thoughts are, and I used to think this years ago, I used to believe in decentralization, that small is better, that when we work in small units, that society can manage better. You put big things in place and they break and the whole lot goes, and I think we're learning that both from the banking crisis and from now. And we really need to decentralize everything, including governments. And globalization has, in my opinion, a lot of dangers. And spiritually speaking, too, Yogananda, another person that's had a very strong influence on some of my thoughts, particularly earlier on, he said in some of his other writings that he did with Donald Walters, he said that when there will be a big crisis, there will be an enormous financial crash eventually, he said, that the societies we know it would change. And Yogananda actually said that we'd all go back to small homesteads and farms. This might be some time in the future. This might be part of the golden age type thing. But things would be decentralized, much smaller. And farmers work better like that because they look after their environment. They have hedgerows and things like that, not great combine harvesters.
And I think if you grow fresh vegetables, it's very good for your body because your body's your temple. And I think a lot of people, especially women, are having to cook from scratch, which is a good thing because all processed foods and everything is so bad for you.
Yeah, I think it's good that we get back to, I don't know, we need a bit more of a simpler life, don't we, really? I mean, I've noticed in myself, when we've been forced to stay indoors and change our routine so much, I've noticed my mind has slowed down a bit, not stupid slowed down, but gotten in a better pace, and I'm actually producing just as much work now as I ever did, but I'm doing it without the rush that comes when you're trying to produce so much. You're trying to write books, you're trying to produce videos, you're trying to do readings for people, you're trying to build an internet site, millions of things, a number of things we actually do. And it's quite interesting how when we do slow down and we're not thinking what's next, and we haven't got this agenda that we're being pulled along by, that you still achieve a hell of a lot, in fact more in some ways, because we changed our way of doing things. And I think that must happen to all of you.
Shall we talk about how the planets are changing at the moment and what to expect in the future, what's coming from space?
Well,
that's ready for it yet?
No, those things I'm going to put in the Nardi stuff next. Not this Nardi, another Nardi. That's for another time. I think people have got enough to deal with at the moment, actually. But yeah, there's lots of interesting stuff that we will be showing you and talking about as time goes on.
You've got a job to read this because it's coming in.
So I'll read out a few questions. There was an interesting one earlier on there. Someone was talking about meditations and things.
Too, Craig.
And asked about how do they find their spirit guides during meditation. That's another one. So I'll answer that then. In the meditations that I'll do later, I'm going to talk about not just meditation, because there's two things. Like I did another video earlier. Meditation's kind of for you.
Hey, don't cough on me.
It's about tuning in to your spirit and opening up to your inner self. But there's also what I call opening to spirit, tuning into spirit, which is what mediums do. So that's a difference to meditation in the normal sense, in that we're opening ourselves to the vibrations of the higher beings around us, a bit like we talked about with the astral planes earlier. And that's what I'll be teaching basically in the meditations for that person that's asked. And it's a gentle, slow, quiet process. It's a matter of quietening our minds and allowing the spirit world to attune with us, a blending of thoughts, we call it. But there'll be a lot more about that in the meditation tapes I'm going to be teaching you later.
And I think it's good time that we all take some self-time for ourselves and sit still and quiet, because the world is being so speeding and all stressed for people. Just to sit there and perhaps just close your eyes and let your inner thoughts and block, if you like, the outside world, and just go within yourself and have no fear or worries, because it's very important. And it's very difficult at this moment of time for mothers looking after children, or perhaps elderly parents, or nursing them, and this puts a lot of pressure on them. So it's good if you can allow yourself, I'd say a good time really for meditation for me is about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I prefer meditating in the morning. Well, I'm not particularly morning. Morning for me is not 7
You
o'clock.
don't work till 11.
I'm a late nighter. I tend to stay up till about 1 o'clock and get up
You
later.
go to bed the next day.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm an owl. Yeah, and you're not quite a lark, because you do tend to stay up late sometimes. But I think different mindsets. And that is actually quite important, isn't it? Because people do meditate at times that suits them best.
Yeah, well, psychic women have a lot of energy. They need to, really, because they have to fit everything in, don't they? Just looking after the house, cooking, gardening, and seeing clients. But we are there for each other, which is good. And it's nice to have a balance between yin and yang, if you like. Yeah.
I think in everything you have to cater for the fact that everybody, all of us, are different, and I think it's important in all human reactions that we understand the fact that we all think differently. In fact, we don't even know how anybody else thinks, do we? Someone just asked there, any plans to be a guided meditation? Just picking up on that. Yeah, I'll do some guided meditation, which is different again to, I'll teach you the whole lot, actually, because I do those over. I'm hoping if it works, I'm going to do it on a regular basis. But the problem is I've got to somehow work out how I can get the camera into my meditation room and be able to stream live from there. But yeah, we'll do that. And I'm interested in that.
Well, somebody's asking, will there be a war coming? Will the world come together? I don't think we should worry about wars. This is sort of a kind of war, isn't it, on germs?
It is. There will be some wars, but again, I'd rather do those in a I'd rather do that in a more structured video, because then if people want to refer to it, I can refer them to the particular video or where it's in. Otherwise, people take things out of context. Actually, Craig's cough seems to be getting worse or better? Worse. Stay safe. Well, I've got this special medicine. It seems to be all right with me.
The trouble is, he tries to talk too quickly. He gets excited and he ends up coughing.
It is true. There's nothing wrong with me.
It's like the little boy.
Mentally, there might be.
It's a little boy trying to break out of a man's body. That's what it is.
Yeah. Quite a few questions there. Okay, please tell us why the chapter 5 of the Ramayana is good for healing. Well, I'll have to read it a bit more myself. This came through from the Jivanadis, the Agastya Jivanadi, and it said in there that the Ramayana was a special magical document. I mean, if you get the book that I suggested by Kim, it's on the other video. It will tell you all about what sections of it to read and read over and over again for a particular issue, and any issue you want. It says read this paragraph over and over again. I mean, I don't know how it works, but we are living in an absolutely miraculous world. I mean, we live in a beautiful world.
But people can't see it at the moment.
And we live in a world that is beyond our imagination, really. I mean, we live in what we think is the real world.
Reality.
But, when you look at the quantum world, for example, everything completely changes. Two things can happen at the same time. Things can be in the same place, appear in one place and go to another. Things don't work unless they're seen. Consciousness has a role in it. I mean, the more you look into the nature of existence, the more mind-boggling it is. And I think those ancient sages conquered time. They saw beyond all what we see, and we're able to give us messages then that can really be beneficial and helpful to us now.
Don't buy into.
How is Canada going to do in all this? Hi, yeah. I've always felt that Canada's a safe haven. In fact, somebody asked me during a reading, "Oh, we want to go on holiday. Where is it safe?" And it just came to they wanted to go to Japan. I said, no, I don't think that's going to be safe yet. I just feel the safest place on earth at the moment is going to be Canada. So obviously Canada's going to have its problems, but like the whole world is. But I just felt that Canada's going to be a stable country over the coming year. I know that a lot of you don't like Trudeau, and I don't think he'll be around for that long.
Someone's put nice flower. Yes, I just put it on because it's such a beautiful day and think it was spring and everything.
Can anyone find their nardy leaves? Yes, but don't on the internet.
I think you've got to tell them about the remedies as well.
Yeah, because the nardy leaves, okay, can anybody find their nardy leaves? Yes. Why do you want to find your nardy leaves? I want to find out this and that about my life. It don't work like that. It's not fortune telling. What you're going to find out is all the bad things. You know, you're going to find out about all your incurable illnesses. You're going to find out about when you're going to die. You're going to find out about all the bad things, because what you're going to find out about is your karma. And you're also going to find all the good things, which is all the good karma. And the whole idea of the nardis is to find the karma and then do something about it through what we call remedies. So it's a long process. Once you take it on, you've got to take on a really major thing. The rituals, so there are things. I might later on introduce people that will be taking people to India that can do the nardis, for help you with the nardis. But you are talking about £2,000 or £3,000 to do that. So it's not like I can give you a nardi reader, there you go, because you've got to go and do it.
And it's not always about ourselves, because sometimes these remedies, you've got to feed the poor, give money to the priest, and do good things for others. So it's not about, will I marry this man, or was he in my life in previous incarnation?
Yeah.
Most important, Craig.
And also with the nardis, I never have charged anybody anything for doing the nardis. It's all done as a completely free service. So from my point of view, it takes an awful lot of time. So if anybody does go on that journey, it will only be one or two people that I've identified out of the hundreds that write to me. I'm sorry, but it's not just as easy as ringing up a psychic. You've got to go on the journey. Okay. So let's have a look.
Take a breath, Craig, and zen.
How many spiritual levels are there in the afterlife? Well, people all say different things. Some spiritualists say 7 levels, some say 9, some say hundreds. In India, they talk about the lokas, many levels. There could be, who knows? And who knows if anybody's explored all the levels?
It could be 999.
Probably 1008, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
That's a holy number. I don't really know. I mean, there's so many people have said so many different things. I don't think we can come to a conclusion with that. Do you see arrests coming? How to say no to vaccines? Well, 2 things. I don't know how you feel about this, Jane, but I am not into these internet anti-vaccine stuff, and I'm not into the internet anti-5G stuff. No. Both of those, I think there's so much misinformation out there. And actually, and I don't see some conspiracies behind that. I've never felt that. I expect a lot of you will strongly differ with that, because I know there's a lot of big conspiracy theories out there about particularly 5G at the moment.
Well, you just will say the axis of the earth.
And, you know, I just, it's probably not a question to ask me, because as far as I see, I don't see it as anything as being some hidden agenda there. And you'd have free will. You won't have to take it, but you might have to be quarantined if you don't, I would expect. See, people are asking about their own places like California and things, and I can't really say, because the whole world's going to have its own problems. And, you know, we're all lucky, really, because we can all be safe by staying indoors at the moment. And
people aren't taking it serious enough.
It will. A cure is going to come along very soon, actually, much sooner than we think, and it will sort itself out. It will gradually let things out until the next second wave, but the second wave won't be so bad.
People need to do lots of water, but not have it chilled or cold, but let it be room temperature. It's most important for the body around this period of time.
You're absolutely right. That says that in the nardy, because it says about getting our immune systems up. And I'll tell us a bit about that in there later on as well. Will the world poverty percentage hit an all-time high?
Well, I think the world is fearing now, aren't they? We don't want food shortages, and I do worry about the children of the world. I don't like to see children go without, and I expect the banks are worried as well.
I think we're not. It's going to be a real hard pull out of this, but I think people have got the right mindset. I think the governments are kind of having a think about that. We're going to have to underpin this.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got a bit of a socialism working with a capitalism simultaneously at the moment, haven't we? So it might do the world some good to have a rethink, because I think all the problems with the world, well, most of the problems of the world are caused by overpopulation, but I don't think globalism has done the world much good either. I don't like the idea of power in the hands of a few big companies. I don't like the idea of data in the hands of Google and in the hands of Facebook and the rest. That's something I think we should personally own. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions like that raised out of this, because where state, for example, in China, they were able to control the virus because they could monitor everybody. Here, the only people able to monitor us all is Facebook and Google. There's something wrong with both those things, isn't there? Shouldn't we have personnel be in charge of who can see what about us and where? And if there's something for the public good, you know, should the police have it or should the doctors have it? There's going to be a lot of questions like that raised, I think, out of this as well, because that was obviously something that could have been used one way or the other, and so far hasn't, as far as we know. So it's I think it's going to be tough times ahead. I don't know we're going to have the big depression like they talked about, some people. I think we're going to recover better than we thought. But so I'm fairly optimistic, and I think a certain amount of normality will come back to life. I mean, after the banking crisis, you'd have thought it was the end of the world, but most of us, our lives didn't change that much, did it?
Well, when you think that the other generation, our grandparents, went through the war and the Great Depression and everything, and they didn't know when a bomb was going to drop, but they all survived and got through it, most of them, didn't they?
Yeah. Jane, is your pin an apport? What's that mean? Oh, your hair.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think it's an apport. I haven't materialised it. No, I did find a feather in my pants earlier, in my trousers. Oh.
Yes, right, okay. Funny sort of apport.
Well, it's funny. That's funny.
Right. So, have you any insights into the new Labour leader?
No, I'm not really interested in the new Labour. I am not interested in politics.
I've forgotten his name, actually. I've forgotten his name offhand. He seems a nice enough guy to me. He seemed a bit more sensible. I don't know. I'm just giving opinions there. I made a prediction about the Labour leader. I got it wrong. So I don't feel I'm in a position to talk about that.
To be honest.
Oh yeah, I said Yvette Cooper, didn't I? Yeah. So I got it wrong. So I'm not gonna comment on that. I'll just take the shame.
Well, someone's corrected you. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, like I say, during these times, I think it's really, really important to reconsider the nature of our lives. I think, don't you?
Look for the most important things. Why are we here? It's lessons, isn't it? We're here to help each other. And as I say, the whole world has got very materialistic. You've got the rich and high and corporative companies that could help. Could make sure there was no poverty. And what do? They want to make more and more and more money. They can't take it to the graves with them, can they?
And absolutely nothing is done for free by anybody, is it, really? When you think about it, big companies, every time they do a charitable act, it's in order to get publicity.
Yeah.
Every time a celebrity seems to do a charitable act, it seems to be so that they can get their nose on Red Nose Day and all the rest of it, you know? It's like they're just using it as a vehicle for their own self-promotion. They don't do anything out of heart.
And I don't really like the term celebrity neither. I mean, when they say celebrity, is it a celebrity serving food in a food chain? And the word celebrity, they're not like film stars like the old Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton.
And like you said before, Joan, they're all just playing make-believe, aren't they?
Let's pretend.
Let's pretend. That's the acting celebrity. So
I think like we recognise doctors and we recognise nurses. I think they're the ones with the talents.
And I think people are looking to that. We're looking for people of real calibre, aren't we? There, you know, we don't see all the celebrities go out there, do we? We see them sat at home playing guitars, hoping to get keep the attention in the public's eye. And I think the day will come when the people that rule this world will be people of what I would call good character, you know. Because you think the people that rule this world at the moment are usually, if they're in business, they're usually really greedy people. If they're in politics, they're usually some kind of broken person with a grudge.
Not all of them.
A lot of them are, though. You think, oh, the one, you know, look, Hitler,
families.
Napoleon, they're all kind of people that had problems, you know, Stalin. I mean, and all the ones, that's the extreme ones. But even the politicians we see today, I think, you know, is that person that I would say is a really good character? Does he or she really have good? Why are they doing it? What are they in it for? You know, if they get into it because their families get them into it, or are they getting into it because they've been brought up with this idea or that? I want people that have a kind of a spiritual remit behind them, and it will come. I think one day we'll elect people who have good qualities of character, and there's very few. There's some politicians that have been out there like that, and same too with people on TV and the rest of it. I mean, look at the idols we put up as our models for nowadays. You know, the people that we model ourselves on, they have to be sort of the Big Brother sort of characters, or they have to be the characters from TV and things like that. Most of them are absolute shallow nobodies, you know. I would like to. I think it will happen. I think people will gradually start to wake up to the fact that, you know, we've got to be better human beings. We've got to all become better people.
Well, you've got to have love. You've got to have compassion. You've got to have kindness. You've still got to be strong in this life, because sometimes people see kindness as a weakness, but you've got to go beyond that, and you've got to go through realizing why we're here. And if we don't learn our lessons, we come back again, Craig. Yeah.
Kids are online learning. Will they keep online next year? And is this good? I think we're back to school eventually, won't they? I mean, the online stuff is good. I mean, online, all of it, really. It's great that, from our point of view, for example, it's great that we can actually reach out to people through YouTube. I mean, we've done a lot of TV work in our time. And all the time, it was always done through the perspective of some idiotic producer who really didn't understand what we're trying to do, had no interest or idea in the message. And TV is never interested in the slightest in the message or the truth, is it?
No, it's just really bringing ratings in and ridiculous things.
And the problem is you end up having a great gift to offer the world and no platform to do it. So online, in some ways, is brilliant. And yet online also seems to when you overdo it, it damages people's focus. It damages their attention span. You don't remember stuff from online in the same way. You know, like if you read a thing in a book, you'll soak it in. If you read a thing on a screen, you'll get the odd fact, you know. So I think less online, I hope, will be part of
Bring
the
back
way
Mary
things go.
Whitehouse. Do you remember Mary Whitehouse?
Yeah, she was funny, wasn't she?
Bring her back.
And Fatty Crannock. Do you remember we had her agent for a while, didn't we?
Well, I mean, it's good values that's needed, really good values. I mean, what we can see, and I'm looking on Facebook, is people using it as an opportunity to consume a lot of alcohol as if it's
They
one
are. I'm
party.
going to move this a bit forward so you can read that easier, Jane. It's not on the screen. Yeah, that's easier. You can see it better there. Okay. So if you want any questions, please put them in caps. Just the questions in caps. Comments put in ordinary upper and lower case. Then we can spot them quickly because we haven't got Domenico with us today. Filtering the messages. He normally filters them and feeds them to an extra screen here.
It's our producer.
And yeah, he's become our producer in the background. And
monitor.
Monitor, yeah. So it's quite
Well, I like that, Craig. Now, Andrea says she loves and admires you both. Be safe. We love you too.
Yeah, any thoughts about this upcoming super pink moon? Any positive message we can receive? I don't know enough about the astrology of that to comment, actually, so I can't really comment on that one. I've not really looked at that. And my third eye opened once for a few seconds, never again. Any idea why? Well, it depends if it really was the third eye opening. The third eye is always open in a way because it's the center of our consciousness. So it's the center of all our consciousness. So when we open the third eye, we're basically using, we're feeding it with prana energy, and that is usually done by breath and by moving the energy across through the spine and into the third eye, and also from the top of the head.
The Kundalini.
Yeah, so we're using like the Kundalini to open it, and it will open naturally in meditation. So if you want your third eye to open, there's meditation techniques you can use for that, and it will gradually open. It doesn't have to always open as a flash. It will open gradually.
Sometimes people try too hard as well.
Yeah, and often misinterpret what is the third eye opening too.
That's good. I can
Do
see
you
that.
teach mediumship online? Yes. Well, I will be doing some of that again in the meditation. But the longer term plan is to have an
This nice
online.
one? I like this one. The full Mont. Jane, you look wonderful in yellow, don't I?
You're just picking out all the good comments about yourself.
Makes a change. It's usually you praising yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I will be doing some mediumship. I want to do an online circle, and those that are patrons, I'm going to start it with you lot first. I know longer if you're on here. We went public with this today. This was originally going to be a patrons only broadcast today. But during this period where everybody's on lockdown, I quite like the idea of opening up to everybody. But we will be having special broadcasts just for the patrons. And I want to do a teaching online sort of circle with you if you want.
How do your gifts, this is me, Jen, is different from Craig? I think we're both the same. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, we're the same but different in our approach, aren't we? Really, I suppose I'm more head and you're more heart in some ways.
Yes,
would that be
that's
right?
true. Yeah.
To say fair to say that?
Well, it's like if I'm seeing clients, I can possibly do no more at the very, very most 4 people because it does deplete your energy. And if you look in the mirror, sometimes it looks like old Dracula's been at you because it's using all your energy from your physical form. So we need to rest. I mean, I need to go to bed early so I can build up my energy, where Craig is mentally using all his energy on the internet and writing books.
I'm always
I'm
so creative.
I'm creative too.
In a slightly different way to each other, aren't we? Like at night, my brain, I have to get it all out. I have to new ideas. I'll get up in the middle of the night and write something down. I've got one of those very active minds. You're creative the same, but in a different way, aren't you? You're kind of like you've been enjoying doing things like tapestry and things today and things like that, and you're pretty good with gardening and all that. You like all those kind of
feminine things,
fixed into the world type of thing. How can I say? It's called they've got something tangible to show for it. Where often mine's ideas that get lost. Yeah. So anyway, we are, and our clairvoyance. I think I would say we're both on exactly the same level with our clairvoyance. We both sometimes. We're usually in agreement with most of the things we feel about predictions, but the most important stuff is not that. The real core of our work actually is mediumship, proof of life after death. That's where our real skills come in. I mean, when people book readings, they all come wanting to know about future, and I think, well, how many come to know about the proofs that I can give with life after death?
Everyone's different.
I know. That's
don't forget if somebody's lost a loved one. Of course, they want to hear back from them in the spirit world, where you might get somebody, it could be business, house moves, divorces. Everybody's different on a different vibration.
Yeah. In fact, Jane and I were both inspired by a woman called Doris Stokes. We've mentioned her before, and we both had a very strong, close connection with her in a way, and which when we came together, it was the remit of Doris Stokes that kind of welded our thoughts spiritually, because we both come from the same we both admired her so much, and and there's a long story. And I actually found a book I'd written, the first book I'd written today. I was rummaging through cleaning up, believe it or not, which is a very rare thing for me to do. Found the old book, and it was all the story of Doris Stokes. I might try to publish that sometime, except I don't have it on a file because it was pre-internet, pre-computers.
Tiger Lily here. Is that Michael Hutchinson's daughter? Tiger Lily.
Possibly. We did
wants
know.
to see me in the Indian outfit. Well, I'll put it on next time for you, Tiger.
Of course, we knew Paula Yates quite well, and she was a lady that we did like a great deal. Actually, she got an awful lot of slack in the press, and I don't think anybody ever really showed her true personality properly, did they?
Well,
I mean, she was a real rebel.
She was a very intelligent girl, actually, and you know, she's a very, very intelligent girl, and had the love of children. I think, you know, a very good presenter and that. And I remember the first time meeting Paula, tiny little waist, and she wore a 1950s dress, beautiful eyes, beautiful girl. She wasn't that bad as people are making out.
Yeah, someone's just said, are we familiar with the work of Dolores Cannon?
You can answer that.
Well, yeah, I did get a Dolores Cannon book a little while ago, and frankly, I just didn't find it. I just found it. I couldn't get into it at all. It didn't seem right to me. It just didn't seem right, and yeah. So I haven't given it a full go yet. I'll have another look at it, and I might better make a proper comment on that some other time. But it didn't grab me much. So that's all I can say to that, because you asked the question. I just sort of
an older lady.
Yeah, I don't know a great deal about her. She was a kind of a trance medium, but I kind of seen so many trance mediums, and I always want, when I see a trance medium, first thing I say is, what actual proof can you give to prove that you can do it first? For example, if you're in a trance, someone comes through, I want to see, say, for example, my granddad come through and tell me lots of facts that I can prove that that's my granddad talking. And then if a spirit guide comes through, I know that that medium is able to give qualifiable and verifiable evidence. If I know they can give verifiable evidence, then the rest is okay. I'm not saying this is necessary about Dolores Cannon, but I'm just saying generally, I need to know facts first before I can accept the philosophy. Because so often, I mean, I used to get it in my circles sometimes. I remember we had a television crew come to film us at the Circle, and this woman that used to come, who were never very good at all, I mean, always got stuff wrong, she said, I think I'm going to go into trance. And I thought, just a minute, yes, I can't control it. If I'm going to go into, knowing the TV screens there, you know, I think I'm going to go into trance. I think, here we go. This is someone that's seen the television and wants to suddenly be opportunist. And really, I mean, and then she starts a load of psychobabble, as I call it. I think, well, you know, no proof, no evidence. Anyway, they didn't show it. But you know,
that Dolores Cannon was proof. It was she wasn't a trance medium. I never heard of it.
I don't mean to be wrong about that, because I haven't got enough knowledge about that to make a proper comment. I just commented because I got the book there.
Yes, Helen Duncan. Yes, so she was a Scottish lady, and I believe that when she used to actually go into trance and have physical mediumship, ectoplasm coming from the solar plexus, she was very good. And I actually knew one of my sitters that came. He actually knew the policeman that raided that seance, and he said it was absolutely real ectoplasm. Now, real ectoplasm's got sort of a snotty smell, and you know, it's sort of a sticky substance. And he said, and it was real.
Yeah, I met him too. He said it was absolutely life-changing, because he was only a little boy at the time.
That's right.
And his father, I think, was in the police, and he was with one of the royals or something when he was young.
Oh, he played with Princess Margaret.
Princess Margaret, you know, Princess Margaret, yeah.
And Princess Elizabeth then, because the mayor of Portsmouth had invited him.
That's right. So he used to be told to play with them, and they were just like kids playing together, because his dad was the police officer, but his dad was also the police officer that was one of the police officers that raided the Helen Duncan seances.
That's right.
Because, you know, we all see mediumship now, but in those days, I wouldn't know what quite date that would be, but in those, it was wartime. In those days, it was illegal. It was illegal to do mediumship. It was only Winston Churchill that allowed some of the, like the witchcraft acts, to be repealed, And then they had the Fraudulent Mediums Act instead. But the fact it was an act called the Fraudulent Mediums Act recognizes the fact that there was mediumship as opposed to witchcraft. You see, because before that, it was all Christian rules, and the Christians just saw mediumship as evil. So Helen Duncan went to prison over it all. It was an interesting story, those that haven't read about Helen Duncan.
Well, that's because she revealed war secrets about a boat, and she had spirit contact also from the other side, from some sailors. And they thought, how did she get this information? We've got to stop her. So they brought out the Witches Act.
I think it was HMS Barnum, wasn't it? I think I've got the name right there. But the sailor appeared in full dress in the seance, because the old spiritualists used to build up as physical mediumship. And the sailor stood there, and in his hat he had HMS Barnum. And they said, and nobody knew that HMS, I think it was Barnum, had sank, So they were keeping it quiet. They didn't want the people of Portsmouth to know this, because it was so bad for morale, and so many people in the town had their loved ones on there. So when Helen Duncan did so, they said, we've got to shut her up. So we're going to go in and raid the seance under fraud type of accusations. But Helen Duncan, there's a mixed messages there, because I think Helen Duncan, other people that I spoke to who knew Helen Duncan, said she was a very coarse woman as well. So I don't think she was a particularly intelligent woman. And I think her lack of intelligence, if I'm right with what I'm saying here, kind of got her into trouble sometimes, because I think she might have even cheated a few times.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, maybe she did, because she I can't do it today, so I pretend.
No,
and that would, of course, any knowledgeable medium would say, well, if you do that once, you've ruined your whole career forever, But that's what I remember reading some books about that, and they were saying that idea. But I'm not saying that's the truth.
So fascinating, true trance. When a person speaks several languages, it might be Old English, and you can verify that. And they say when they passed, what town, what their name was, and then if you find the records and then it fits, that's what I call good evidence.
Yeah, because people are asking about evidence here. Someone's commented about the skull experiments too, which were fantastic. I mean, I can't go into those now because there's such a lot there, but that make a good video in its own right. I'll do something on that later. So I can't answer that one now because it's a bit too involved. But there was excellent evidence given. But you can find the skull experiments on YouTube. There's a good one to look up. I think the whole thing's on there, the BBC programme that was made about it. And someone said, how do you know who's a genuine medium?
Well, from your own personal experience.
It has to ultimately be through personal experience. Because, I did a programme on television, and a famous medium, the same production company, had another famous medium on there. And I did some clairvoyance, and they said, oh, Craig, you've done that clairvoyance just once. You don't have to do it time and time again like the others do. I said, well, I just do it once and that's it. And they said, well, they used to do it and do it and do it until they got it right. So what they would do is edit it down so it appeared always that they're getting it bang on all the time. And people don't have a very good eye for editing, so they don't notice when things have been edited out, which the camera angle changes. But what's happened is they've taken a whole chunk out. So this is the danger. And I think you need to see mediums live, first of all, really. And you really need to see a medium.
There's no good seeing them dead.
No, but I'm saying not on TV, not edited. Because if it's edited, you can do all sorts with that. And that's not right. And they might be a decent medium nonetheless. I'm not saying because it's been on TV. And that's the same with us. I mean, we've done TV stuff and that's all been edited. But not edited, hopefully, to do anything wrong, but some have. I wasn't very happy with Living TV, the way they did things. The whole of Living TV was completely wrong. But nonetheless, so I think best to see mediums live, as it were, and you can judge for yourself. You can see if they're getting it right or wrong. Also, if you're face to face with the mediums, that's good. But also, don't feed the medium lots of stuff. I mean, yes, answer yes and no. The medium needs some feedback, needs a fluence going there. But some people give all the details before they even start, and the medium just talks around it. Or, and particularly with the live shows, they collect information. They want photographs of people. They want names of people before they get it. And they want your name to go with your seat number, so they know every person that's at every seat number. And some of them wear earpieces. I mean, that's fake. But so my thoughts are, you need a live medium. You want no earpieces in. You want to make sure there's nothing like that going on. You don't want to have to give any evidence away when you do the booking. The best place to see it really is in spiritualism. I know spiritualism is really old-fashioned, and it can get a bit boring with the hymns and prayers, which I'm not into. But it's the last place where there's still real mediumship going on, and if you don't like all the hymns and prayers, don't go on a Sunday. Go in the week on a Thursday, usually Thursday or Tuesday.
What, you're an advert for spiritualism?
I am. I'm just giving a plug for it, actually, because you'll be able to go to an evening of clairvoyance and watch mediums live. I mean, Jane and I did it for years and years and years and years and years, and never made any money out of it. We do it just for the love of it. And there's others still doing that. So, and look up Psychic News, psychicnews.org.uk. There you can find out a lot about spiritualism through that, actually.
Well, we've been in the, I was born like it, obviously, and we've been doing this about 50 years. And you've got some youngsters starting up on the platform that have come up a circle. And you need 11, at least I would say 7 to 11 years.
I've just upset some of the spiritualists. I'm sorry. I'm a spiritualist and it's not boring. I love the hymns. Well, yeah, some do. And that's fine. Some do, and that's good. But I personally am not a religious-y sort of person. But then some are, so that's fine.
Oh, well, I'm spiritual.
Yeah. So I personally prefer, I think a lot of young people would probably prefer the evenings of clairvoyance. So you've got a choice, basically. You've got a choice of both. But don't give up on spiritualism, because it's got a lot to be found there.
Religions really can cause wars. Really, there's only one religion. That's a religion of love. So we all should be as one, especially what's happening now. Because I think, we've been watching, and I don't want to upset people, but if I do, I don't mean no offense, but we've been watching the Jewish films, and I didn't realise.
What was it called? It's on Netflix at the moment. Fantastic, wasn't it? Shitsul or something. That's the wrong word. Wrong word.
Alrighty, my boy, we got it wrong.
I found it interesting because I found some Hebrew in there. I knew. Bokatov. Bokatov to all those.
No, but they had matchmaking. They pick out the future wives for them, and I think that's more orthodox Jewish thing. Yeah. That one was, wasn't it? But my goodness me, it's
on Netflix at the moment. I can't remember. Someone's given us a correction. Schitt's Creek. No, it's not quite that. Not quite. I can't remember the name of it actually, but it was good. Excellent series actually. I thought it was very interesting.
It's very funny.
I spent a lot of time in Israel, and I a year there. I found it a fascinating country and a fascinating thoughts there actually. Interesting people. I worked with people there that had been in Belsen, and I was on the kibbutz. And he even had the numbers on his arm, and he'd go, God, he'd work us to death. And he said, you think this is hard work? We would work like this day and night with no food, And I thought, yeah, he's got a point. And so it was easy compared to what they'd gone through. Yeah. Do you think the Bible code is authentic? I don't know enough about the Bible code to actually comment on that. I didn't get into it so much. I did get very much into the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail.
But there is another thing that people used to tell the future with the Bible. They used to open it randomly on a page.
Yeah, bibliography.
That's it.
Yeah, I think not bibliomancy, not bibliography. Oh, I'm stupid. I am. Bibliomancy.
You said it.
Yeah.
You said
it. You
open
the Bible on a page and put your finger on there and it'll give you you can do it. They used to also do it with the writings of Virgil as well. Someone wanted to know a bit more about Donald Trump. I think again those types of things I'd rather do that in a set piece video for that type of thing. It's going to be very I should consider that though, shouldn't I? Because it's going to be some interesting things with that in the future.
No, we've already seen the series of Unorthodox. That's the first one.
So the series before that with the same crew in it. So and the same people. Well, we're on series 3. We're binge watching. I bet a few of you are binge watching Netflix as well at the moment, aren't you?
I've seen in David. It's nice.
Yeah. So
staying indoors. You can catch up with reading. You can watch the television. You can go out in the garden. Lots of people haven't got gardens, of course. They've got apartments, all that. But there are things. At least we haven't got bombs dropping. have we?
No. I mean, like I was saying, I think we commented yesterday, we're fighting a war against the virus, but it's not as if we're in the trenches going out to put our lives at risk in the mud.
Film.
I mean, we've all got to do our bit, just stay in, and how hard a deal is that? In fact, if you get into the right frame of mind, like I said, this is a very spiritual time.
Yes.
The energy is very special, don't you think?
Well, it is, and I think it all began from the year 2000, and then slowly all things like that. And I think where man keeps experimenting with nature is not a very good thing neither, because we're all paying the price for it.
Yeah.
All this manufacturing things in laboratories and
I
testing
think
on animals.
We've been so wasteful, haven't we? I mean, we've been so, and we're wasteful with our energy too. Our energy is all. If you think we've got all this incredible thing called consciousness.
Craig's wasteful with my energy at times, waiting on him. He said it first.
But we've all got this incredible thing called consciousness. And what do we spend it on? What do we use this focus on? We throw it away on distractions. We amuse ourselves, and we're just constantly. And then people wonder, why am I depressed? Why don't I feel content in the world? Because your consciousness has been just wasted, this precious gift. We never turn in. We never use it as a means to understand who we are and our place in the universe and actually connect with that fantastic wonder of existence, do we? We waste. And I think this is a wake-up call. Like I say, we've all been grounded. The divine, whatever you want to call it, has grounded us all. And it's time that we have to think about what we've done, don't we, when we've been grounded.
Oh, thank you, Stephen.
More praise, Jane?
Unfortunately, in your case, not this time. But unfortunately, in my case, this time. No, it's Stephen Young. He says, I know Craig does not get everything right. However, you two do a fantastic job in service to the spiritual public. Thank you. And thank you. Now, why Full Mountains?
Will our future be magical? Do we connect to that? How do we connect to that future? Well, we've mentioned that at the beginning. You probably come in a bit later, but the future is there's tough things still to come, which we're going to be doing in other videos. There will be some other tough stuff to come, but this is kind of the beginning of the first gradual unfolding, and over hundreds of years it takes as you go from one yuga, one period in time into the next. It takes hundreds of years, but you start to see changes as you leave the dark age of Kali Yuga, and the future ages, the Dwapara Yuga, the Satya Yuga, the ages ahead are absolutely glorious, and they're ages which mankind has been in once before. And this is where the nardy leaves come from. They came from that earlier age, when mankind has been before and was going again. And as the spirit world know about it, the great teachers that live on the astral planes know about it, and they give us all a sense of knowledge, that not of foreboding necessary, of hope, because we know that how dark it gets, we'll always get through to the end.
No, I mean, interesting this is. We don't hear much about Russia, and we're not hearing much about North Korea, are we? So there's a reason for that.
Well, I said that I thought with Russia, that's going to be one of the last strongholds of the virus, actually.
Well, didn't Nostradamus, the bear, but the bear is associated with Russia.
Yeah.
Do you? And they're asking where the virus. I wouldn't surprise if the Chinese didn't develop a cure for the virus.
Well, people are asking about the cure for the virus. I think it's already there. In fact, I'm going to talk about.
Back to the West.
No, it's already there. I think almost there.
Yeah.
They're not quite sure they can release it. It might not be a vaccine necessarily in the same way that we normally deal with the virus. But there's hints in the Nardis about that, which I'm going to put in my other talk. Well, we're getting to the end now, Jane, because we do an hour. So we'll take one more question. You choose the last question.
Let's see. Oh, that's nice. You two are keeping us sane. Much love to you. Well, thank you for that. I don't know if this man's keeping me sane.
I'm not the person to come to keep sane. I warn you. Do not trust this man. In fact, my psychiatrist is going to come in here in a minute, and they're probably going to sedate me again. I'm lucid at the moment, more or less. Yeah.
Oh.
So don't forget, if you're following this channel, if you can, become a patron. right? That's Patron
And
helps
like and
us.
share, most important, so we can all communicate with each other, because I think it's very important at the time. And as I say, have no fear. If fear creates a lot of disharmony, and that, I know you're all very frightened because of this virus around, but it will pass. It definitely will pass.
And as a patron, you would actually be able to get access to some of which are, at the moment, we're kind of very public with our stuff, but some of these things will be just on the Patron channel. So do follow us on our Patron. There'll be links ultimately, not as you immediately, but they'll be in the comments below. You'll be able to get links to the Patron pages to find out what that's all about. And it helps us with our spiritual work too, because we're trying to open a centre ultimately. We're also trying to,
and you're all invited.
And you will be, because first of all, it will be all online, and then we're going to. We're also helping people who are poor, and I expect the world's going to need an awful lot of help as time goes on.
Yeah,
and sometimes
definitely.
sort of targeted charitable work is very good. Sometimes you can do something very specific without all the overheads that these big charities have. We're not a charity yet, we're a not-for-profit company, but we hope to also make it into a full-on charity. But that's our hope for the future, and we're really grateful that you all keep joining us, and thank you for coming again tonight. And don't forget, we're coming on regularly at the moment during this period, so we're coming on all sorts of times, so make sure you click the little bell thingy if you've not already, because that'll give you updates. If I get it right, you'll get updates, and those updates, you'll know when we're going to go live. So anyway, we'd like to say bye now. So thank you for joining us. See you soon.
And keep safe, everybody.
Bye for now.
And
Namaste.
love from the heart to you all. God bless.
Thank you. Bye.